Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to work on some Mame Portulacaria Jade. And so this is the first one here. And this guy has also got a little bit of confusion on what the front is. So I really love the way the roots move. With this is the front, but we have an eye-poking branch right here. I mean, it's just coming right at you. This branch here is very, very low, but for now I'm going to keep it. And we have nice structure if we take this guy off. But we could just as easily have this as the front. And even though this looks like an eye-poking branch, it's actually part of this branch here. So we could wire that all the way. And we would still have, we'd have to wire this guy into place here. Still have an interesting front, but I really don't like the roots here. So I'm going to let everybody vote again. It was interesting on the last one where I had people vote. They all voted for the same front. So front number one with the eye poker branch, that would be the back branch if the other side was the front, which we will remove or shorten tremendously, or front number two. So please leave your vote in the comment section and we'll see what happens. I am going to assume this is the front, and then, as is the case with almost all of the videos I've been making, to put the trees on the bench, I'm just going to give it a very, very slight haircut. You know, and as I do the haircut on these things, I'm also studying the tree for what I'm going to do in the spring. All of these guys, I'm sure this guy is just as root bound as just about everything else he has. Does it look root bound? Maybe a little? Of course, ports are okay with that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for a Portulacaria. So, springtime, we will get a root pruning and a more major styling. And I like the pot for the size of the tree, so we'll probably keep it in the same pot. So that's tree number one. So once again, vote on what front you want, or what front do you think is the best. Get rid of some of the crud. This little guy I featured fairly recently, and I cut it back to nothing. It was just a stump. Had no growth, and you can see this growth here has really emerged and grown quite long compared to everything else. Nothing else has grown anywhere near that long. But that's good because it's right on the outside of a curve, so this could very easily be a main branch. If some of this is the first main branch, then this could be the second main branch. And this guy also has a very interesting trunk if we look at this side, but this could just as easily be the front too. And I know when I did this tree, I had someone comment that if you're just going to chop them back to nothing, it's kind of boring. And I had to agree, you know. But once again, I'm trying to pay my dues, because once this tree is done, and you'll notice the pot is also skewed, that is not going to be the front, and neither is that. So the pot, this guy's also going to get a repot and put into a pot at the angle that I want. And this pot, now that I've cut it way, way back, is too big for this tree. So I'm really not sure this tree needs anything. Maybe just pinch this guy out, just a touch like that, and then just let the rest of it go. So that's number two. Number three is an interesting little tree. The front is actually at the corner. This is a square pot. I suppose you could consider it a cascade, but I'm not much into cascade, especially not with Portulacaria Jade, although I do have one that I have yet to feature on a video. So this is another guy. Front or front? Regardless, Just a little trimming. And this guy, I'm absolutely sure, is also totally root bound. And it's got some bar branches, and there's bar branches up in here. But you know what? I'm not really entirely concerned about that. It's a cool little tree. I like the form, even with the bar branches. And of course, if you have bar branches, you can always fake the eyeball out by bringing this one down and then making the pad here, and then bringing this one up and making the pad higher. So even though the branches are coming out of the same part of the trunk, the pads will be different, which will then create a little better form. So that's about it for this guy. I think I can actually just pinch this stuff. The scissors doing this really fine work is almost easier with your fingers. Okay, so that's number 3. Here's another one. Are we confused on the front on this one too? No, there's a big scar and it's really rather ratty and knotty right here. So that's the back. And once again, I think I'm just gonna, oops. Okay, I think this one is root bound too. Well, I think I'm going to stop showing you that these trees are root bound because every single one of them is root bound. Well, they're not root bound. Let's do a spin doctor thing. They're just, the roots have filled the pot out adequately. Okay, this guy's probably going to be a slanting because this is so weak as the apex if we bring it up into here. So bring this as a slanting, and we've certainly got work to do on where we want the branches and things like that. But for now, I just want to get them out of the shade into the pot. It's been taking forever, but nah, I don't know. Oh well, this is another pretty cool little tree. This is definitely the front. Look at the moss. Even the moss has outgrown the pot. The moss has grown beyond the edge of the pot. When it comes to moss, I almost never just add moss. It just shows up. And the older your trees are and the more water they get on a regular basis, the more the moss just shows up. And I think once you have trees with moss, then when that moss fruits and reproduces, your other trees are more prone to getting moss. This is a pretty cool little tree. And once again, I like the pot. I like the proportions of the pot to the tree. So when this guy gets repotted, he'll probably go right back into that same pot. The next guy is in a fairly small pot, but he's quite a bit larger. In fact, if I just move him back, okay. And we have some funkiness. I really love the movement in here, but then this is really straight right here. So I could probably bend that and bring an apex up like this and try to keep that straightness from being so visible. And our first main branches, especially this one, really needs to have more branching coming out horizontal. Look, I'm back to the scissors. Don't use the scissors, just pinch with your fingers. And this guy's a little sparse, and that's because it's root bound. So what will happen in the spring when these guys get, and this guy's a little bit too big for the pot, I think. A pot, in general, the rule is that the pot length should be 2/3 the height of the tree. So if this tree is like in here, 2/3 is about like that. So the pot should be closer to somewhere in there. So this guy will probably get a larger pot, which of course frees up this pot for another little Mame. This guy could almost be a Shohin. And I don't worry about, this is not a Shohin, this is not a Mame. I'm not like that. I love my trees and I don't care what size you want to call them. And then this guy is one that I featured. Oh man, he's now tiny. Oops. Come on, tripod, behave. This guy has an interesting history, because if we look right there, you can see there's a scar there, and that was the top of the tree. This part here, which is now the apex of the tree, all right here, that was a side branch. And the hailstorm on the 28th of April, 2023, just cracked the whole top of this right out. I attempted to take a very small branch that was barely attached and glue it into place as the apex, but that did not take. So I decided to take what used to be one of the main branches and just grow it up as the apex. And it needs a little wire to be a little more. And this is just a fat little trunk, and at some point you see here the scar. It got a major chop. And the apex is also leaning too far forward. It really needs to be somewhere up into there. But this is a cool little tree that I like a lot. And then this last one is one that I've never featured. And you can see why, because it's incredibly overgrown. And unfortunately, I don't say unfortunately, but I do have a certain number of these trees like this that are just sort of in an area where, well, I'll get to it one day. And I guess with this guy, today is that day. So we're going to give him quite the cutback. And he also has some bar branches and some other funkiness, but at this point I'm not going to worry about it. Love the trunk. This is sort of like, once again, like a live oak style. So now we can bring him forward since we've cut a bunch of him off. And maybe we'll take that one off too. And it's October, and doing this is, yeah, it's a little tricky, but it'll respond. I'll give it some fertilizer and it should respond. So there we go. What did we have? 3, 6, 7, 8. 8 Mame, quote, Shohi, portrait carry Jade, that are now going to go onto the bench, the new bench. And I'm getting ready to build the second bench. Although I doubt if I show you that process, because it's the same as the first bench. And those bench construction videos didn't get many views. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Vote on the trees where there's 2 fronts to tell me what front you would like or what you think would be best. Let me see, what did I say? Subscribe, like, thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. I need like a script or something. And then again, winging it's probably just as easy. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.